So Street Fighter 6 has been out for, I believe, 2.5 years now. It came out in June of 2023. So Street Fighter 6 is in a bit of an interesting spot right now. I think Capcom has done a very, very phenomenal job with all the DLC characters. They're all really, really interesting in their own way. Of course, my favorite DLC character is Aki, but like Elena is second place. I've been a huge fan of Elena since basically Street Fighter 4 when I was younger. So, I mean, Elena is one of my favorite characters. But the point is, Street Fighter 6 has really good DLC characters. Even characters I don't particularly care for, like Bison or Rashid, they are really cool in their own way. So Capcom have done a very phenomenal job at making the DLC characters interesting. Now, people still have a lot of grievances about this game, most of which I think are legitimate, like the lack of balancing, or the lack of changes to balancing, I should say. Nowadays, Mai is still very, very strong. There was a balance update just a couple of days ago that buffed Elena, which is great. I think that's wonderful. It's a slight buff, but it's pretty, substantial. She's a bit stronger now, which that's nice. And then most of the other balance changes, only a handful of characters were actually changed, but most of them are so insignificant that it's almost negligible. Mai was a character that got slightly nerfed, but it doesn't really matter because she's still so incredibly strong in this game that a lot of people are not necessarily satisfied with it. And I don't think that you need to change every character meticulously. Like, I sort of have a bit of like an old school philosophy for fighting games where, yeah, some characters are broken, that's just how it is, you gotta learn how to deal with it. But I understand that fighting games nowadays are made more so to be servicey games. Like, fighting game developers make these games with the intention of making them last 2 to 3 years, or sometimes even 5 to 6 years. And in order to keep the game fresh, in order to keep people interested, and most importantly, to keep playing the game and buying your stuff, like DLC and other outfits, they want to make changes. They want to balance the game, buff this character, nerf that character, or maybe fix a move to give it a different property, stuff like that. They want to make the games interesting so players stick around. Typically, there are like 3 different types of players for fighting games. Those nerds who are going to stick around and play the game even after it's no longer being supported, like me. The people who play the game think it's really interesting, but maybe they'll drop it after a while. They don't particularly care for it. Maybe they'll check it out again when a new character comes out or when a new balance update is issued. Those are kind of like in between casual and hardcore. And then you have your casual players. They buy it just to play it with their friends for like 2 weeks, maybe play through the story, and that's about it. That's all they'll ever do with it. Those players, like the really, really casual ones, are more so like in the Mortal Kombat fandom, stuff like that. But me, I'm a bit of a hardcore fan of fighting games. I have played Street Fighter 6 consistently since it first came out. Same thing with Tekken 8. So yeah, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to buy all the DLC characters, even if I don't use them just because. But Street Fighter 6 hasn't had very many balance changes since Season 3 first started. And I'm not saying that they need to change the game once every month, but I think it's fine the way the game is now. Of course, Mai is still particularly strong, but I understand why people do get sort of frustrated with stuff like that. But one thing I definitely want to talk about is the lack of costumes that this game has. Every character has 3 costumes. Some have 4, or the game calls them outfits. Some characters have 4, such as Chun-Li, Aki. I think Jamie has 4 as well. Juri has 4. So it's like they sort of pick and choose who gets a new outfit and who doesn't. And I do think it's a bit strange just how slow these outfits are to come out. In Street Fighter 5, they would introduce like 5 new outfits, like in each update, or each new character that was introduced, stuff like that. So they had a plentiful amount of outfits. Some characters had like 12 in total in Street Fighter 5, but of course I haven't played 5 in about 2 years, so I might be misremembering a couple of things. But in Street Fighter 6, each character has 3. They have their default look, their secondary outfit, which is like their throwback. In the case of C. Viper, she has her Street Fighter 4 design. Most characters have like their classic SF2 design, stuff like that. I'm curious as to what Alex is going to have. I'm sure his is going to be like Third Strike, but either way, Capcom have been really slow to release any outfits, and usually they charge a pretty hefty price for them too. Like, if you spend $12, you get 2 outfits. So, I just kind of wish that they would release like an outfit pack, like each character gets 1 outfit and it's like $10 for all of them. I think that'd be fair. I'm not particularly a huge fan of alternate outfits, but I usually will buy an outfit if I think it looks really cool and only if it's a character that I play. But I mean, I'm not going to buy every single outfit because to tell you the truth, I don't really care for most of them. I'm fine using sort of the throwback and the default one, especially in games like Tekken. But Capcom has stated that it does take quite a while for the suits to come out, which I understand development costs and the time it takes to make these things. I understand that. I understand that this stuff isn't just, we can whip it out in 2 hours, no big deal. And of course, Capcom wants to make sure it's very, very high quality. Like, their models are very detailed, and a lot of it has to do with the RE engine that this uses. So, I'm not going to fault Capcom too much for that, but I do feel like we don't really have that many outfits. I'm not saying that every character should have 10. It's just, I feel like a lot of the characters should just have 1 or 2 extra outfits, you know? But there will be a third outfit that comes out for each of these Season 3 characters. So Sagat, Alex, Viper, and Ingrid will all be getting new outfits eventually. I imagine when Ingrid is released, because she's the last in this season, that's when the new outfits will come out. But I wouldn't imagine it takes that long to make them. I'm just curious as to what Viper's third outfit is going to be, especially. I mean, for Sagat, they'll probably just throw some Muay Thai stuff on him, which I'm sure it'll look really cool. But for Viper, I'm so curious as to what they're going to do with her third outfit. I understand that they have to go through a design process. You have to make concept art, you have to get a design approved, and then once that design is approved, you have to begin modeling and stuff like that, so it does take quite a while. But I mean, they have a list of outfits that Viper has in Street Fighter 4 that they could pick from, or maybe modernize one a bit. Me personally, I think it'd be cool to see Viper in like a more of a suit, like kind of like a professional attire. But either way, those are kind of my thoughts on the current state of Street Fighter 6, or at least some grievances I have. It's nothing too major. It's mostly just like the lack of costumes and just a few balance changes or lack thereof. So that's about it.